So, as I said, there were 2 takedowns we conducted today. One was focused in the United Kingdom. Both of these were domestic. They are not related to each other as far as we can tell. The other was focused in Romania. Today, we removed about 30 pages, groups, and accounts. So in particular, 4 Facebook pages, 26 Facebook accounts, and 1 group. They were part of a network that was operating in Romania and was engaged in what we call coordinated inauthentic behavior. They had a combination of fake accounts and authentic accounts working together to mislead people. In particular, those accounts were operating sort of pages designed to look like independent news organizations. And they created sort of fictitious news organizations. And they were posting primarily content that included partisan news in support of the Social Democratic Party. They also shared a range of kind of divisive narratives, commenting on key political issues and divisive messages that are of important focus in Romania today. They worked to conceal their identities so that we wouldn't be able to determine who they were. But our analysis identified that some of the activity was linked to an individual associated with the ruling party, the PSD, the Social Democratic Party. Some specific details. I mentioned the number of pages. There were about 1,500 Facebook accounts following one or more of these pages. And there was some ad spending, but not a lot, maybe $650 worth, paid for in a combination of US dollars, euros, and Romanian currency. The first ad, that is the earliest ad, ran in 2013, and the most recent ad ran in 2019. The majority of the behavior we saw here is fairly recent, mostly throughout 2018. This was the result of our own sort of analysis. We have teams that are focused on looking for this type of behavior, but we received some key assistance here from open source reporting and also from our security industry reporters, security industry partners.
You said that one of the individuals involved in this network had direct connections to the Socialist Party here in Romania. Do you have a name? I mean,
so what?
Is he a part of the government or?
Right. So what I said specifically, just to be clear, is that the activity was linked to an individual associated with the PSD.
Okay.
And we're always very careful in writing these reports. There's a couple of things that we tend not to do. First is we don't go into individual identities because of the consequences that can have for individuals. And the second is we're very careful to lay out in public only the information that we feel very confident we can support based on our investigations. The nature of these investigations are deeply rooted in technical assessments of connections between pages and accounts. And so we can see association, but we're very careful not to go further than that and talk about inference on what might be the case.
So the PSD currently has the power of government here in Romania. During your investigations around the world, did you see it something as ordinary for current governments to try and conduct these sorts of manipulations on social media, or do you mostly see competing parties trying these tactics out?
So when we think about actors engaged in this, there are 4 different, what I would describe as buckets of action in information operations around the world. First, we see governments engaged in this internationally, trying to influence public debate in other countries, right? You can think about plenty of examples of that. Second, we see governments engaged domestically, trying to influence public debate within their own country. We had recent takedowns involving activity stemming in from Bangladesh and in Moldova that both sort of had this characteristic. In addition, we see non-government actors engaged domestically and internationally. And when we look domestically, we definitely see political parties and political actors as one of the communities that engage in this type of thing.
I'm curious on how you pick your targets, basically. Is it like you're in the war room and you're like, well, today I feel like investigating the Romania social media landscape? Or is it something that triggers your automatic systems and then you focus on it and put your investigators up to the task of finding out more?
No, it's a good question. So there's a combination of things that focus our investigations. First, we have automated tools that look for clusters of behavior that are indicative of deception. And so we have automated systems that can sort of look around the world and surface things that our investigators should look more deeply into. And obviously, coordination by itself isn't a violation, but it is an indicator of where to look. And so we use those tools. In addition, external partnerships are extremely important to us. We have civil society organizations that conduct their own analyses that will come to us and say, we've seen something that you should look into. We have government organizations that will come to us and say, we've seen something that you should look into. And then we have investigative reporters that will do the same thing.
You've also mentioned a couple of times that you work with partners from all around the world, and that you you work along with governments of different countries when you come across certain types of coordinated campaigns. Will it be the case now? I mean, you're saying that basically someone that has connections to the government has led one of these campaigns. So what is the protocol in this situation?
No, it's a good question. I mean, obviously, if we see some kind of link to an actor that could be linked to the government, the way we interact with the government will be a little bit different than in other cases. We are perfectly open to talking further with the government and answering questions they have about this investigation and the work that we do in this space. But to your point, when we see those links, the way we engage is going to be a little bit different.